Okay, well, we have got some stuff to talk about today. Riots in the US Capitol. What the hell is going on? And how did we get here? I think that's the real question for me. Um, I was shocked, as I think millions were in America and around the world, to see, hey Laxar, how are you? To see people breaking in, smashing the windows, climbing through into the US Capitol, trying to disrupt the counting of the vote. And just watching that, I think, was very troubling. And I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, watching people trying to attack that process, right, was very, very troubling. And the thing is, like, how did we get there? There hasn't been, an attack on the U.S. Capitol since the British. Like, how did we get to this place where we, as a country, as Americans, are literally attacking each other and attacking our institutions? It's almost unbelievable. And it's not that the institutions are not in big trouble. Okay, I believe the institutions are broken. But what's going on? What happened that made this so much more divisive than any other election or thing before? I mean, I think there's a part of it where people are fed up, right? But why? What's going on? Do you know? Have you really looked into it? I think a huge part of what has happened in these last years is due to social media and due to how we consume information, due to the media as well, and enabling everybody to isolate into their own little boxes, into their own little groups. And I gotta say it, if I have friends, good friends, smart people on both sides of the political spectrum. When Trump was inaugurated, I was living in D.C. I had an apartment there. I had friends flying in to attend the inauguration, and I had friends flying in to march in the Women's March. And I told them, this is Switzerland, right? Because why is my view on this? I didn't grow up in America. I grew up in many other countries, and I've lived in communist China. I've lived in Russia, I've lived in these places, and I've seen the propaganda machines. So it's not my immediate instinct to believe what the media or these people are telling me. I'm always like, yeah, grain of salt with whatever that is, because I know how these machines operate. And what I've seen in America is it's gotten far more excessive that way, okay? But what we do have in America is we have a voice, we have the ability to talk to each other about this stuff. And what I saw happen over the last few years was that my friends who thought one way, my friends who were Democratic, started cutting off and blocking all of their friends who held a different view, and vice versa. So not only were they not seeing the same information, right? What was going on with that? Did anybody stop to think, like, what are these people doing? Why are they attacking the Capitol? Why are they marching on this? Like, most people are just like, oh, they're just crazy, right? They're just insane, whatever. But have you talked to them? Do you know what their concerns were? They're being told by their leaders that the government has stolen the election, that there is voter fraud, and they believe it. They believe that the government has stolen the election. They are being told this. That is all the media they're watching, okay? On one side, they're watching all one side of media. On the other side, they're watching a totally different story. It's not the same story at all. It's not even close to the same set of facts that these people are being fed on their YouTube channels, on their news streams, from their friends. Completely different set of facts. So you say, how can this person be so stupid as to believe that? But that's all the facts they're receiving, right? If you haven't watched The Social Dilemma, please go watch it. It is a fantastic documentary on Netflix. Everyone needs to see it because they need to see what is happening with the divisiveness and how it's happening and how algorithms and stuff are actually generating this and making it far worse. Okay? So not only are our devices telling us what to believe and separating us into camps and only giving us one side of an information or story, that's going on. Really. Like, people are literally reading totally different sets of facts. But we've also stopped talking to each other because we've cut off our friends because they don't believe the same way we do or they don't support the same party we do. And like, how many people have really gone and talked to the other side, genuinely, not attacked, talked and listened and heard. And I don't mean just listen to the media, okay? I mean, like, sit down with your friends who may not be your friends anymore, right? Because you've cut them off, and say, tell me, what are your real concerns here? What's really going on? Look into it. That's what I learned, I mean, back before Trump was elected, I was in New York. A lot of the time it's in DC, so a lot of my friends were on the Democratic side. And then I have, quite a few friends also on the Republican side. And I was purposely avoiding the news media because I know how incredibly biased it is. There used to be a law that you had to present both sides on the news. There used to be a law. It was called Fairness and Truth in Media, I think. And that was abolished. And we need that back. We need it back where you have to present another side. Even if it seems ridiculous, even if that other opinion seems ridiculous, it is an exercise for people's brains to always see there is more than one side. So we need that back. But so what did I do? My friends invited me. They were attending the Republican National Convention. And most of the information I was getting was all on the Democrat side, for the most part. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna watch the news media. I'm not gonna say here what the news tells me everybody thinks. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna attend. I wasn't there to watch the performance or anything like that. I didn't really listen to a lot of the speeches particularly. I talked to people there. I talked to people, genuine, good-hearted people concerned for their families, for their countries, for their safety, and they made a lot of good points. And I was like, that's really interesting. Those are some really good points these guys are making. And the same when you talk to the other side, right? So that's why, I personally believe the system is broken and that our whole way of doing politics is completely flawed, and that the truth is most of us are far more aligned with our wishes and goals for humanity and for the world and for freedom and for not harming others. We really are much more aligned than we think, because we've been divided in this divisiveness, and we are playing into it by not sitting down with each other, by not drawing the other person out. We are playing into their hands. So, I hate to say, but if you're one of those people who cut off your friends because they had a different viewpoint, then that's part of the problem. Instead of sitting down with them and engaging them in conversation and, presenting both sides of the facts of what's going on and digging into it more. So often we just accept the source. We accept what our leaders tell us. We accept what the media tells us. And they all have their own agendas. And believe me, their agendas is not our well-being. And it's not the well-being of the country. It is the perpetuation of their own sources of power. So it's up to us to investigate. It's up to us to talk to each other. It's up to us to have those hard conversations and figure out, well, those guys actually have a really good point about this. I believe in that too. These guys have a really good point about that. I can agree there. and find those common things, bring ourselves back together, and stop having completely different sets of facts for different sets of people. Of course, you're going to think the other person is insane if you don't even know what set of facts or information they're going off of. You got to understand that to have that conversation. I mean, perhaps it's easier for me to see this than most because, like I said, I didn't grow up in America. I grew up overseas. Where it was just more obvious. In America, it has become more and more obvious over the last decade. But it used to be, right? And we still have these principles and feel that it should be this way, that the media should be more fair and unbiased and should report what's really going on. But that's completely changed, right? The entire system has changed. So, you're going to have to go and look for it yourself. And you're going to have these conversations. Have conversations at least and be open to the fact, okay? I grew up in a cult, for God's sake, all right? Completely closed off to the beliefs of the outside world. And I know what that's like. Completely closed off. You can't even hear what the other person is saying or thinking. Your mind is just like, my mind's made up, don't confuse me with the facts, right? And anytime somebody has that reaction, I recognize it. I recognize it because that's how I lived. That's how I grew up. That's how that whole group of people was. I was that way. I was that person. That was how I was raised. It took years of retraining for me to come out of that and to start to, wow, there's not one way. The world is different. There's all of these different things going on. All of this stuff I didn't understand or realize. And, now I'm grateful for that because that's a gift. Because I don't get tied into this one thing or one belief system or one, because I'm like, wait, I know, I've seen that. I know what happens. Okay? But let's all have conversations with each other. I've been listening to Brene Brown recently. I love her. Absolutely go and listen to her. I was listening to one of her podcasts today, and she's talking about strong back and soft front, right? Having a strong back, knowing, really identifying what you believe in, what you stand for, right? But also having a soft front, which is engaging, being willing to sit down with people. That is being vulnerable, right? If you're willing to let someone attack you or attack your beliefs or question you, that's the only way you get into the conversation and engage them back, right? Ask real questions, be genuinely interested in why they're thinking or feeling a certain way. We also use this technique in healing, right? Even just being heard by the other person, genuinely heard by the other person, can help someone to start to shift. Can help someone to start to lower their walls and be willing to listen back. And that is how we engage in conversation. This country was built on the ability to have differences of opinion and freedom of belief, but we have gotten to the point where we're losing so much of what is good and beautiful because of our intolerance. We're intolerant of other people's beliefs. Even the people who seem to be championing tolerance the most are actually being incredibly intolerant. There's a lack of vulnerability, a lack of being willing to say, I might have been wrong about that one. Oh, you have a good point there, actually, right? So let's put down our walls and our weapons and start having real conversations with each other. And we're going to find out we're a lot closer aligned than we think. That's what I wanted to say today because, I just think that what's happening is heartbreaking right now. And I continue to have conversations with everyone on both sides. And, do the same. You'll find out a lot. Life is not all one way. You'll learn a lot. And even if you don't agree with the other side, you'll understand what they're doing or why they're doing it or why it's important to them. and you'll be in a much better position to share with them and reach them with what's important to you too. Okay? Let's bring this country back together and the world. That's it for today. Sorry it's a heavier one, but man, we got some tough stuff happening. So go out there and, have conversations and don't accept the party line. Whatever party, they are always acting in their own interest. Figure out the truth. Ask the big questions. Ask the questions for yourself and try to find some way to get to facts through real conversations. Have a great day. Bye.